Balaam, a complex figure in the Bible, is known for his role as a non-Israelite prophet who was both gifted and spiritually flawed. According to the perspective of Jehovah's Witnesses, based on their interpretation of the scriptures and the resources available on their website, jw.org, Balaam is often seen as an example of someone who misuses God-given abilities for selfish purposes. Below is an exploration of Balaam's life and actions as presented in the Bible. Balaam's background and role as a prophet. Balaam lived in Pethor, near the Euphrates River, and was considered a prophet, though he was not one of God's chosen people, Israel. He was renowned for his ability to pronounce blessings and curses, and his reputation as a diviner reached far and wide. Despite his pagan background, Balaam had some knowledge of Jehovah, the true God, and received messages from him. This highlights the unique role that God sometimes gave to individuals outside of Israel to fulfill his purposes. Balaam's involvement with Balak. The account of Balaam unfolds during Israel's journey to the Promised Land, as described in Numbers chapters 22 to 24. Balak, the king of Moab, became fearful as the Israelites encamped near his territory. Hearing of Balaam's reputation, Balak sent messengers to request that Balaam curse Israel, hoping to weaken them and gain an advantage in battle. Balaam initially sought Jehovah's guidance about whether to go with Balak's representatives. Jehovah explicitly told him not to go and not to curse Israel, for they are blessed. Balaam obediently sent the messengers away. However, when Balak sent higher-ranking officials with promises of great rewards, Balaam's greed was evident. Though he again consulted Jehovah, he was motivated by the potential for material gain. Balaam and the talking donkey. Jehovah permitted Balaam to go with Balak's officials but warned him to speak only what God commanded. On the way, Balaam encountered an angel of Jehovah standing in his path, though initially, he could not see it. Jehovah opened the mouth of Balaam's donkey, allowing it to speak. The donkey's unusual speech was meant to rebuke Balaam and make him aware of his spiritual blindness and the peril he faced. When Jehovah opened Balaam's eyes to see the angel, he was sternly reminded to follow Jehovah's instructions precisely. This miraculous incident demonstrates how Jehovah can use even unexpected means, like a donkey, to accomplish his purposes and teach valuable lessons. Balaam's oracles. Despite Balak's insistence and lavish promises, Balaam was compelled by Jehovah to bless Israel rather than curse them. Balaam delivered 4 prophetic oracles, all of which reaffirmed Jehovah's favor toward Israel and foretold their success against their enemies. In his final prophecy, Balaam even predicted the coming of a star out of Jacob, understood by many to foreshadow the Messiah. Balaam's downfall. Though Balaam outwardly complied with Jehovah's instructions during his interactions with Balak, his greed and inner motives ultimately led to his downfall. Balaam later advised Balak to use a different strategy to harm Israel. According to Numbers chapter 31 verse 16 and Revelation chapter 2 verse 14, Balaam counseled Balak to seduce the Israelites into idolatry and immorality, which resulted in God's displeasure and a plague among the Israelites. This act of treachery revealed Balaam's true character. While he recognized Jehovah's power and authority, he prioritized his own desires and material wealth over obedience to God. Balaam's actions serve as a stark warning about the dangers of hypocrisy and greed. Balaam's death. Balaam's story ends tragically. He was killed during Israel's campaign against the Midianites, Numbers chapter 31 verse 8. His death underscores the inevitable consequences of opposing Jehovah and leading others into sin. Lessons from Balaam's life. Jehovah's Witnesses highlight several important lessons from Balaam's account. The danger of greed. Balaam's desire for riches led him to compromise his integrity and ultimately cost him his life. Christians are warned to guard against the love of money. 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 10. Obedience to Jehovah. Balaam's story illustrates the importance of wholehearted obedience to God. Outward compliance is not enough. Our motives and intentions must align with God's will. God's sovereignty. Jehovah demonstrated his power and sovereignty through Balaam, ensuring that his purposes for Israel were fulfilled despite opposition. This reassures believers of God's ability to protect and bless his people. Accountability. Balaam's knowledge of Jehovah made him accountable for his actions. His failure to act in harmony with that knowledge brought severe consequences. Balaam in later scriptures. Balaam is mentioned several times in the Christian Greek scriptures, New Testament, as a negative example. For instance, 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 15, Jude chapter 11, and Revelation chapter 2 verse 14 all refer to Balaam's greed and the stumbling block he placed before Israel. These references remind Christians to avoid similar pitfalls and remain faithful to God. In summary, Balaam is a striking figure whose life offers both cautionary lessons and a demonstration of Jehovah's power to accomplish his purposes despite human failings. His story invites reflection on the importance of loyalty, integrity, and a pure heart in serving God.